Welcome to the No BS Short-Term Rental Podcast, an unfiltered look into the global vacation and short-term rental industry.
I'm Mateo Bradford.
And I'm John Stokinger.
And this is our podcast. We bring the right people to the table at the right time, giving you an inside view and take on the short-term rental industry like no other podcast can.
Morning, Mateo. How are you?
Man, fantastic, John. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in I got a different background today, staying at a good friend of mine's vacation rental, soon to be coming on to Hopper Inventory. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. Of course, you always got to throw that little personal plug in.
Shameless plug. Right.
Hey, yeah. It's why I'm here. It's what I do.
Got good to see you on the road. How's it?
Man, I got in late last night. Funny story. I thought I was booking in Panama City Beach, but I flew into Destin. So that was an hour drive.
Right. I was about to say $120 Uber ride, Lyft ride.
No, I got a rental anyway, so it was all good. It's great because I got meetings in Destin on Thursday and I fly out Thursday evening. So it actually worked out. Like I did the long drive to last night and I got in about midnight, but down here got a busy week scheduled for Hopper and got a little industry meetup going on tomorrow night with a bunch of people getting together halfway between Destin and Panama City Beach. So we're getting a bunch of people together, have some beers and break some bread. It's gonna be fun.
Man, all of that. I love all that activity.
Got to do it.
Back to life. Back to
it's kind of weird though. Like, I mean, truly, we were just talking about it, but I want to bring it up. My thoughts and our hearts and prayers are to just east of Panama City Beach, where I'm in right now, in Panama City, and just east of there's like horrific wildfires going on, and it's taking homes out. And these people are just rebuilt, and they just got back from Hurricane Michael, and it's kind of weird because the working force of Panama City Beach doesn't live in Panama City Beach. They live over there in Panama City. They live like it's not necessarily the vacation destination. But that's where the workers live. And I was talking to a security guy last night when I was coming up to my room, and he was saying, like he goes, a friend of mine just right, like his house, it's like right at his house. I'm like, oh shit. But hey, let's get into it this week. We got an amazing guest. We're keeping it across the pond. It's it's exciting. We have the founder of Boosie and the best-selling author of the Book Direct Playbook, Mr. Mark Simpson. Thanks for joining us today, man.
Hey man, welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of the show. I've been tuning in. Congratulations on season 2. I look forward to all of this to come. So yeah, thanks for having me part of this movement that you're creating.
I don't know. Well, thank you. I don't know if we're actually created a movement. I think we joined a movement, but I appreciate the kind words. So we're excited to have you, and we'd love to hear about your story. We're all very active on social media, and we kind of stay up on the short-term rental, vacation rental, social media front, and it's been fun watching. Truly, like you've been for me, a pioneer of someone that's putting out regular content. And it's been fun to watch and learn and take, some tidbits every day of like, holy shit, look what Mark's doing. Like, look at the following he's getting. And it's not all about a following, but at the same time, you need to keep people engaged. You need to put out regular content. And when we joined Slick Talk, and Will Slicker's he talked, there's a stat, I think it was like 7 podcasts. Like most people don't get past 6 or 7 podcasts before they just give up on it completely. And, I feel very blessed that this is our 45th. We're coming up to a year here. I think, like the 50th will be right about a year mark. So we're going to have to throw some sort of party, Teo. I have some ideas on that too. I'll talk.
Hey man, it's to put an exclamation point on what you're saying. It's also about having relevant content. Like you can put out bullshit and it'll filter through. There's people that spam and flood and put all kind of shit out, but it's putting quality content that actually resonates with people and, is, you said, a wave I think it's a wave. It's a progressive push. And I don't mean the progressive politically, it's a ever changing dynamic in this business is, finding new and creative ways to make us better and expand our reach to people. So yeah, man, Mark, as you said, and we'll dig into this in a little bit, because you are a fan of this business, and I can tell how you interact with people, because fans dig in. They know you came on today, you're like, hey man, I know you, I know At Ease, I know this, and I was about to be like, hey man, I just saw where your position was on Amazon, great book. Like, people who are enthusiastic about the industry are going to make this industry so much better, because they'll innovate, they'll push for change, and it won't just be selfish, it'll be for the industry as a whole. So yeah, glad to have you on, brother, and appreciate all you're doing for the space.
And it's awesome as well, because I'm now 440 episodes into the Boostly podcast. When I first got going, I looked at people like Heather Bayer and Jasper, and obviously I Get Paid for Your Pad, and they were my inspiration, Matt Landau. And if any way I can inspire other people to get going on like creating content regularly, whether it be podcast or videos, that's amazing. So yeah, no, happy to be part of it. Thanks for having me part of it. And yeah, let's dig in, eh?
Yeah. I think the interesting thing too with putting out content, and it's fun talking to someone that actually puts out content that most people you talk to don't. But it's interesting to see, like, already in the 40 something episodes, like how the tech is already changing. Like, we've changed from one platform to another. We should have been recording on a different platform today, but I didn't prepare it because I'm traveling. So that will be the next episode. Right now, I think that's one of the platforms that you can actually separate all the audio out. So we're just really trying to, truly, Hospitality FM, big shout out to them for helping us professionalize what we do, because we're just a couple of guys that love talking shop.
Yeah, I've been trying to get on a Will Slicker's podcast for years, so to do it on the Hospitality FM, there we go.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Hey, Will, if you're listening, I know you are. You got a best-selling author here, so let's go ahead and make it happen.
Yeah, return my WhatsApp, Mr. Slickers. Come on, what are you doing?
Let's talk about, like, your grassroots, coming into, I'm looking at your LinkedIn, but like, tell us your story, Mark.
Yeah, so I've been in hospitality since the age of 5, pretty much. I was born and raised on a 200-acre farm stay property in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere in the United Kingdom, Northeast United Kingdom. And the reason why my parents transformed the business from just a farm into a farm stay accommodation was because of the foot-and-mouth crisis. So it was a foot-and-mouth crisis back in the 90s. They had to do something, otherwise the business was going to go down. They looked at what was going on, and they knocked down a barn and they put up 4-bedroom guest house. This was one of the first in the county to do it. So they were one of the first movers. And now you can go anywhere in the States, the UK, anywhere, and you can find farm stay accommodation with glamping or whatever you can find. But back then it was so rare, and it was a big risk, and it's paid out massively. So I'm 4, I'm 5, I'm starting going to school, and I just get so used to having strangers in my house all the time. I literally just imagine going down to your kitchen every day and there's a stranger there. And that was just literally my childhood. So I grew up, I'm one of 4, eldest of 4. I'm older and older. The business is getting better and bigger and bigger. Word of mouth was everything back then. So there was no socials, right? There was no booking.com, there's no Airbnb, right? Literally word of mouth and newspaper ads, right? So that's how they grew the business. They knocked down another barn and added on another 10 rooms. They started doing tea rooms and restaurant and that. And, for me earning pocket money, I was doing breakfast before going to school. I was changing rooms at the weekend, doing all of that. But, I got to 18, 19, 20, and I wanted to do one thing, and that was escape. I wanted to get out and see the world. I'm a massive soccer fan, so I'm a big Liverpool football fan, and I wanted to be a soccer player, but I'm crap at playing football. Now, I can swear on this podcast. I'm shit at playing football. Yeah. So,
please do. Truly, Mark, when people swear, I feel better about myself because I'm not the only one dropping F-bombs.
There you go. Well, I've done a lot of interviews recently, and I have to just make sure I got to check myself, depending on what I'm on. So basically, not very good at football, not very good at playing soccer. I fell into coaching. I got all my coaching qualifications. I really, really loved doing it, and I went to America. I had an opportunity to go to America. I took it. 2002, landed in Memphis. Beale Street. Had an amazing time. Amazing time. I'm so glad social media wasn't really around before 2007, 2008, because just imagine 30 British guys landing in America with this accent, traveling around.
No. Not just America, Memphis. Like Memphis is its own. Yeah, Memphis is America, but Memphis is a lot of different parts of America, and not all of them are great. But it's interesting, like, because parts of them are amazing. Wow, fun. That's a hell of a welcome to America.
It was. Well, I was in like Memphis, but we're traveling around. So every week we'd go to another camp and we would do youth development. So we'd go Alabama. My third week was in Louisiana. I spent my July the 4th week in New Orleans. I'm like, this is my first experiences abroad, and I'm like, this is amazing. I loved it so much. I made it out. Just I love it.
Oh, New Orleans is a vortex. It really, really is. It will suck you in and keep you. Every time I go to New Orleans, I meet someone who's just like, hey, I just came here and couldn't leave. And it's literally been like 20, 30 years like that they've been there. And no, this is no lie. This is absolute truth. Every time I go to New Orleans, I meet somebody else.
I've also had some really good experiences in Atlanta, you know, and again, so I've just been very fortunate to travel all over and had an amazing time. And I kept doing it for 6-7 years. I came back at the end of 2008, start of 2009. And me and my friend were in a little pub in our hometown. And what we decided was that our hometown was too small. So we decided to go down to London. So we worked in London for 2 years. And it was at London, 2009, 2010, 2011, that I fell into sales and marketing. And that marketing was important because that's when I really got the grasp of social media, review sites, and SEO and all of that jazz. 2012, my firstborn, Alfie, came around, and me and my wife and my oldest, we had an opportunity to go back to the family business. So my parents had the business for 25 years at this point. They wanted one of me or my 4 siblings to come in and take on the business and help them grow it and get it all online, because they were still doing all of their bookings on pen and paper, which is crazy. We had to Tipex out when bookings came in, and it was insane. So I came into it and put everything online, did all the socials, did everything. And within 18 months, we took that offline word of mouth online. And because of that, our business grew to be one of the top 3 recommended businesses on TripAdvisor in the Northeast, this is when TripAdvisor was a thing.
Right. Back when nothing against anyone that's working at TripAdvisor, but if you're working at TripAdvisor, get out. Get out. Run.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, and with social media as well, with Facebook, we grew our Facebook page to be the most locally followed place in the area. And this happened over like a 14 to 24 month basis. And I alluded a lot to the fact that, we sort of took that offline word of mouth online, and we did something really cool. And then in 2016 is when...
Real quick, Mark, did you have any like formal training on like, I know you're getting to the web stuff, but did you have it, or is this just like trial and error, trials, tribulations?
Massively trial and error. One of my big people that I look up to is Tim Ferriss. So I don't know if you've ever read any of the Tim Ferriss books, had a podcast. So 4-hour work week and all of that jazz was my introduction to him. And what I love about him is that he's a guinea pig. He tests things out and then he reports back. And this is what literally I've done. I've just learned it by testing, by just surrounding myself with good people, just constantly wanting to learn. This is why I listen to your podcast. This is why I listen to all the podcasts and watch the YouTube videos, because I want to keep on learning. I want to get different ideas that's going on in the industry. And then I bring it back to my community and I put it into a language that anybody can understand. And the reason why I started Boostly, so this is 2016. I was at a tourism meeting, like a meetup. Like you said, you're going to break bread and meet up with some hosts. I was at something like that back in 2016. And at the meeting, the other hosts and property managers were complaining about booking.com. They were saying about how all the bookings were coming from there, that they didn't feel like a partner, the guests weren't the best. And so I just said to them, like, what are you doing to bring in your own guests, aka direct bookings? And they just looked at me blankly. And so I was like, well, what about email? What about social? What about, all these things? And they just looked at me blankly. And so I don't know why, I don't know what came over me, but I just said, listen, I've been doing this for the granary and I can show you. Just literally give me one evening. I'll show you 5 things that you can do. We'll do it after evening meal one night. And literally 5 people put their hand up, like 5 people out of like 100 people in the room. And those are the first 5 people I ever taught for Boostly. And I showed them a few things. The results were good, which was awesome. And then I went to the council. I said, well, who's here helping our hosts, our local business hosts, our hospitality owners when it comes to marketing? And they just looked at me blankly. So I was like, fuck it. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I created a Facebook group called the Hospitality Community. It's still here now. The Hospitality Community. Please go and check it out. It's on Facebook, still to this day. It was designed for Scarborough and Whitby hosts. And all I did is I started posting every single day little tactics and tips. It was either a post or a video or whatever I could do. And it was designed to sort of help them get a better understanding. And what I realized is that I was building a community. And this is a big thing about the podcast. This could even be the podcast title. I built a community and then I built a business. So people from out of Scarborough and Whitby were wanting to join the group. And I was like, okay, what's happening here? Because people from like Liverpool and Manchester and London, and then people from like Austria and Germany and France and Spain were wanting to join. And then people from America and Australia. And I was like, okay, what's happening here? Because every single day I was going in and providing content and help and support. And the back of that, people started asking me for help one-on-one. And that's when a light bulb moment went off. Me and my wife, I managed to Tim Ferriss my way out of the family business. I was able to hire and do all those things. And we were born travelers. Like my wife, before I met her, she was born in Johannesburg. She lived in Egypt for 2 years. And we had 2 boys at this point. We wanted to travel again. And so we started traveling, and Boostly was just an absolute win-win, because we could travel and I could have a business, and it was great. We're traveling and doing all of that, and it's just literally grown on the back of that. And now 4 or 5 years later, the community has grown, the word of mouth has grown. Like hashtag Team Boostly is a thing, and so it's amazing to the point now where I'm very grateful and to say I'm a best-selling author with it. And the website side of our business, that what we do is the most recommended website agency in this industry, which is unreal to say. We've got over 1,000 hosts that we help with websites, and we've got the academy, the training, which is all accredited, and it's just growing and growing and growing. So my big goal, my big ass hairy goal, as I call it, is I want to help 1 million hosts cut down on their over-reliance on Airbnb and Booking.com and Vrbo. That's literally it. That's what it's been created for, because there's too many hosts, especially in America, who are so reliant on one platform to bring in their bookings, because they think direct bookings or marketing it takes too much time or too much money. I'm here to show you that it can be done, and you don't have to spend anything doing it. And I've literally tried it all, tested it all, and it works. And I'm just going around and showing people how to do it, and that's it.
So you're a coach by nature. Clearly, everything you do and everything you talk about is bringing people into it's coaching. And you said it earlier, and maybe that's why it's so kind of prevalent, but it really shows in kind of the way that you operate and how you work to help others and share your success. And I think that's important. You brought up something about America and our markets and reliance on platforms. I think it's a historical kind of thing. It's how a lot of the American short-term rental operators came into this culture, especially now, through platforms. Because, typically vacation rentals in America were very kind of segmented, and not everyone in America could participate in that, right? But now short-term rentals are everywhere in urban centers and other places. And so you have people who are involved even in, one-off, two-offs, everything from renting rooms to renting full places, right? So all they know is platforms.
Well, and let's keep in mind that 3/4 of this demographic, Mateo, aren't renting a vacation rental; they're getting an Airbnb.
Facts.
I
just didn't want to blow them up, but yeah, right. So it's and that's why it's one platform, right? That's people's introduction to the space. And it's interesting because here in America, we got a lot of hustlers, right? We got a lot of people who are, throwing seminars. You come to Atlanta, man, I'll show you all the time. You on the web, on the side of the road, make 6 figures off your phone and Airbnb, right? And all that's their experience. And so it's almost like a multi-level marketing scheme, right? Like at the end of the day, how certain people are trending into the business, but that's also affecting a lot of how people experience the business on the front end. And, they see the platform as the necessary tool to success within their business. And at that stage, no one's talking to them about what they could be doing, employing old school tactics to build, direct relationships with their customers, right? Like,
Well, it's,
Yeah.
and this is why it's important. And yeah, I totally understand this. And this industry has changed so much in the last 2 or 3 years because of the pandemic, because of everything. But what a lot of people, it's so easy, and without regulation, and obviously this is a whole other podcast and topic, without proper regulation, it's going to be so easy. So right now, any of us could go find a landlord, like John, you're staying at a buddy's place, right? You could go to him and say, hey, I can take care of this property for you. I'll pay you X, or we'll do management, or we'll do, co-host, or whatever it wants to be. And you could literally have a property on Airbnb next week, like literally like that. Right. It is so simple, just like it's easy.
Full transparency, he's a property manager. I'm staying at one of his units.
Yeah. So literally, but yeah, he could, if he's a landlord or whatever, it's so simple to be doing it, right? I could literally go across the road now to that house right there and say, listen, if this is a place that you're going to have for rent, I'll take it off you and I can get an Airbnb. So it's so simple. And again, we are in a world, in an industry where we are so in demand. Even with everything that's going on, it's so in demand. So we could right now put a property up on Airbnb on one platform, take half decent pictures, and it could be booked out next weekend because there's so many people who are wanting vacation, staycations, workcation, right? And it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it is so easy to generate revenue. Like with my website business, there's no website I can go and list my services on and be guaranteed to get revenue. It just doesn't happen. I have to build a brand. I have to do all the marketing spiel and all of that jazz to be able to get revenue and customers and clients, right? So it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it's so easy, but it's a curse because then you become lazy and you become over-reliant because it is so easy. And Airbnb are the one, because again, I believe because Airbnb, born out of San Francisco, amazing marketing, what they've done since 2013, 14, 15, 16, fantastic marketing to build that community, build that trust. Just go and look at the TED Talk from Joe Gebbia in 2016 on YouTube. It's a really good TED Talk about how Airbnb designed for trust. Right then, they've gone from plucky underdogs to overtaking Booking.com and Vrbo right now, all right? So it's just the marketing is there. And Air Cover is just fancy marketing spiel. That's all it is. They're very good at marketing and branding. And so they provide that confidence, right? And so there's so many people over-reliant. Now, there's one thing that has changed the tide, which is probably why you see my face so much over the last sort of couple of years, is because of the pandemic. March 2020, if anybody had a property back in March 2020 on Airbnb, you will know what happened. On the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th of March, Airbnb sent a mass notification out to everybody who was booked to stay on their platform to say, hey, doesn't matter what the cancellation policy is, you can cancel your stay free of charge. And it was a fuck up after a fuck up after a fuck up. And Brian Chesky has admitted this. It was without warning the host, this was going to happen. And literally people woke up, and I know so many people who have woke up, saw those cancellations and struggled, lost tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Some people didn't make it out on the other side. And that was the turning point.
Right. It was there's so many people, and you talk a lot about hosts because that's your focus, and that's your grassroots effort to go ahead and enable hosts. And obviously the professional property managers as well, the 100, 200, they lost their bit. And there's some that just never came out of it. There's so many different, and I'm not saying they're all professional. If you're doing it right, you're doing it professionally. That's the distinction. But if you weren't set up for success leading into it, if you were I want paycheck to paycheck isn't the right words, but if you borrowed money to go ahead and do things, or if you're doing something a little, some sort of arbitrage model, you got fucked. Yeah. There's no way out of it.
But the offset of that was that people came out the other side and they goes, you know what? I need to, if I really want to do this, if I want to build a business, build a brand, I can't just be reliant on one platform. I can't build my house on someone else's land. I've got to be multi-channel. I got to have a PMS, PMP, whatever you want to call it. I've got to have a direct booking website. I've got to build this brand. And this is why in 2020, Boostly grew by 200%, because it was just timing. And it was just me being in the right place at the right time. Since 2016, I've been talking about direct bookings. I'm known as the direct bookings guy, because I've been talking about it pretty much every day since 2016. Right. It just came that when people started to look for places to go for direct booking, help and advice, they just naturally gravitated towards me. And it's and something that's so bad as what happened, if this is the backset of it, is that where hosts now are starting to educate themselves about being multi-platform and all of that. Amazing, because the reason why I started this goal is because I didn't think that the OTAs, particularly Booking.com, actually treated us, as in my family business, as a partner. Whenever there was a complaint from a guest, they always sided on the guest, but yet they always put the message out like Airbnb saying, the partners, you are our partners. So that's not a partnership. So I want to get their attention. And Brian Chesky even said on a podcast, on the Sway podcast at the back of 2021, she asked him on the podcast, what do you feel about hosts who try and get their own direct bookings? He dismissed it. He dismissed it hands down. He said, well, why would they want to do that when they've got Airbnb? And this is why I do this, is because I want to show the OTAs that hosts do know how to get direct bookings, and I'm going to show them how to re-educate themselves, because then what they can do is they can re-educate their guests. And if I can get 1 million hosts to re-educate their guests, and let's just say on average they get 1,000 guests a year, then that is how we get the attention of these OTAs. And you're right, Matteo, I've definitely got a coaching background. This is why it was called the playbook, for exactly that.
Yeah.
Because when I was coaching in America, I would have my playbook with me. And I would have drills, I would have tactics, I would have training, I would have all those little things that I wanted in my playbook. And when I wanted to run a player a drill, I would open it up and I wouldn't read page 1 to page 200. I would just go into a specific chapter and I would focus on that one thing, would run the drill and would review it. And that's exactly what this is. So yeah, there's definitely that coaching element. There's definitely like that thing that I like to do. And I feel like by doing that, by me coming in and coaching and helping and building this community, there's no other website designer out there or agency out there that is doing what I'm doing, which means that I can not only we can design websites, but I can also come and actually give that support and actually drive traffic to a website and show people how to do it. My big thing and why I started this is everybody said you had to do this. So you had to get on Facebook, you had to get on Instagram, you had to do email, but no one was showing the how, right? And this is why I do it. So I go, right, I'm going to show you how, because no one else is doing it. And I feel that has been the main reason why the growth has just been so huge the last 5-6 years.
Well, you're enabling a person and giving them the confidence to go ahead and do something that they may not have, felt confident. And that's what a good coach does. A good coach can take a player that, that has, you can't take any player. You can't someone that's completely uncoordinated and not able to, just not athletic. If we're talking athletics and we're talking football, AKA soccer here in the US, if you're just uncoordinated and just a person, yes, you can coach some of that, but you need to have good solid bones and a good foundation.
I'm gonna say it's like hospitality. If you don't like people, I can't coach you. If you don't like, if you don't like people, then I can't coach you. It's like with soccer or anything. If you haven't got the athleticism, if you haven't got the discipline, or you just can't be asked, I can't coach you. So it's exactly the same. It's just, and this is 100% spot on. So nice little comparisons there.
You talked about a goal of getting to 1 million, helping 1 million people. Or 1 million hosts. Where are you on that journey?
So all I can go by on the numbers is how many people have either paid for services or downloaded my guide. So I'm basically in and around just under 100,000. So I've got a long way to go, a long way to go. But the more that I can do podcasts like this, the more that I can do guest podcasts and webinars and whatnot, speak at events, then the more that the awareness will grow. And thanks to Zoom and thanks to all of the cool tools that are available now, we talked about tools at the very start, it's just making it easier and easier to get more awareness out there. So yeah, I'm well on the way, sticking at it every single day, getting those numbers down. But it's amazing that the feedback. Confidence is 100%. So my sort of spiel, my elevator pitch is I give hosts the tools, the tactics, the training, but most importantly, the confidence to get direct bookings. And that's the whole thing, is that guests aren't confident with direct bookings because they've been shared the spiel from Airbnb. They've been given a marketing spiel that you have to be on that platform. So many people don't know about insurance. I know you've spoken to Superhog. Superhog are fantastic. Because Superhog and Guardhog, they give host that confidence. So, but you've got the people that are coming into your properties are who they say they are. And again, it's amazing to do. There are so many tools that are out there that hosts don't even realize about. So it's just my sort of mission is to sort of make sure that everybody knows and aware of this.
What's your you just mentioned Superhog, but what's your involvement with IPREC as well? Because I know we're talking that's along the same lines in this kind of talk about that a little bit. I know you're involved with that a little bit.
Well, the only way we're involved is that they sponsored the Boostly. They sponsored the content. Any content I put out at the moment, they're sponsoring it for 3 months. So Chris, shout out to Chris Morn from IPREC. Thank you very much for the trust. I've had some amazing sponsors over the past sort of couple of years, Hostfully being one, IPREC uplisting. Amazing people that have sort of trusted the Boostly brand, that they want to be able to partner up and team with them. IPREC are doing it at the moment. And IPREC is a really good one because with Web 3.0 and blockchain and cryptocurrency, all of that sort of terminology is now becoming second nature to a lot of people around the world. IPREC have used accreditation services using the blockchain technology to have an accreditation service. So basically a certification service, so that when somebody lands on your website, you've got that trust factor there,
right.
and the global recognition of it. And I've known Chris for years, and I've known IPREC for years, and I've talked about it for years. To be able to like have it in a sponsorship capacity now is amazing. To be able to partner with them is awesome. And yeah, I recommend everybody go check it out. I-PREC. It's a little bit funny. It's not iPREC.com. It's I-PREC.com. Go check them out. Go see what they're doing. I know so many Team Boostly members who use the service, love it, and I'm excited to see what he does next. Because there's definitely, he's got so many ideas behind the scenes. He's got a massive rental and events and exchange business going on in Cannes, France. So it'll be interesting to see what he does next.
We were joking with Neely on last week that that she should give Chris shit because we got her on first before, and now we can give shit because we got you on first before.
Yeah, well, he's a busy man. I think he's traveling around. But yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, definitely wanting to get on the podcast in the future.
On YouTube, you just got to the point where you're making money. What was that benchmark? What was that like? Because I look at like truly, so our YouTube is just, we just record it and we put it up there, and I do absolutely nothing with it other than like truly like 5 or 6 people watch a video. Most people download the audio. Great. And that, I mean, true. That's where our focus is on it anyways. But tell me about your whole YouTube journey and how you're finally, this is a monetized thing as well now.
Yeah, so to become a YouTube partner, you've got to have over 1,000 subscribers, and you've got to have 4,000 watch hours in the past year. And YouTube, I mean, first and foremost, if you've got a podcast, you have to have a video element to it. Now, in 2022, you have to, because there's only so much time in the day. And if you're going to take an hour out to record a podcast, you may as well do it video, because then you can go and repurpose it, video, chop it up. Ruben Kaya he's got an amazing podcast agency, and he basically repurposes podcast content into short form videos. He works with so many people in the short term rental space. He's a short term host himself. I've known Ruben for about just over a year now, and he's got such a good setup, and he's helping podcast people repurpose that content. So I am a massive fan of repurposing, always have and always will. So you see me pretty much everywhere, at least 2 or 3 posts a day, very much, Gary V in your face everywhere. But I only actually record a handful of videos on a Monday, and then I hand it to my team. So I'm very lucky now I can, with the sponsorship money, I can hire an editor, and he will take 1 hour long content. He will chop it up into reels, to the audio, to the video. Right. We share it on Pinterest, Pinterest. We share it on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. And so YouTube is a massively important channel, because it is the second biggest search engine in the world after Google, and Google owns YouTube. So it's now it's got to a point where if you're going to ask a question, you're not going to ask a question in Google, you're going to ask it on YouTube, right? So I've just got a new vacuum cleaner. I didn't bother reading the instructions. I went and looked at YouTube videos on how to unbox it, and how to use it, right? And it's the same now with any question that comes in. So all I did on YouTube is I used the same content creation tool that I documented in the book. Go and check it out. It's less than $20. Go and get it, put it into practice. And I found out what the most common questions were. What were people looking for? What were people typing and looking at? A lot of people were saying, what is Guesty, which is a property management software tool? Like how effective is Guesty? How can I help make it work for me? So again, I created videos on Guesty, and I did so many different things and trialed it and tested it and just kept consistent with it. Whenever I posted a video out, if it was a good video, I would email the list. So the Team Boostly list, I've got a WhatsApp group. So I've got 1,000 people in a WhatsApp channel. I would point them towards the YouTube video, and it just constantly kept being consistent with it. And when you can get people onto your YouTube video in a short space of time, that's when the YouTube algorithm and the YouTube juice kicks in.
Starts kicking in.
Right.
And so, yeah, it just naturally happened. I got to the point where I was at like 3,900 watch hours, and I was like 100 watch hours to go. And, I had a couple of weeks to do it, because you got to do it, on a year by year basis. And yeah, it ticked over, and now I'm a YouTube partner. and what I get about $40 and $50 a month, but it pays,
Hey,
pays
in that
for the
YouTube
Starbucks.
money, right?
Right.
The Starbucks, yeah, it pays for the Starbucks. That's all it's there, and now that you're a partner, obviously they will promote you more. And again, it's all about making sure that this book direct message gets spread and spread and spread, because there's tons of amazing Airbnb videos. Sean at Airbnb Automated, one of the best on YouTube. There's some really good, effective, and really powerful Airbnb videos. But now with my book direct message is appearing in the YouTube suggested column, which is all I wanted.
Nice.
Which is that's the goal with YouTube, and it's working well.
Well, I mean, we're pretty excited because we're finally in a position where, the video content, actually this week, the content with Neely is the first time that I didn't edit the video. So I sent it, we have a team, and we'll see how it works. I'm actually, I'm pretty excited about it,
How are you, when you create something, is it like your baby? Do you find it hard to pass over, or are you like Tim Ferriss and just sort of delegate everything?
I have my fingers in too much things. I really like the logo, everything I've had my hands on. So like I micromanage a little bit, and so I'm trying to step back. And that's why we partnered with Hospitality FM and Will, is like, he put a great thing together. He's like, hey, listen, we want to help you, and my focus and Mateo's focus isn't like our podcast. Recording this podcast is like a highlight of our week. We love doing this. This is amazing. Like we look forward to this, and these connections we've made is invaluable. It's like it's enriching to ourselves. But it's enriching also to, I want to say selfishly, but it's enriching to our business, is what actually pay the bills, which isn't this yet.
Right, until you get that YouTube money.
Yeah, for the 40 pounds a week, or a month.
Money.
Oh, well, the thing about podcasts now in 2022, and someone said this to me a couple of years ago, is that a podcast is just a new way of having coffee with somebody, but you're just recording it. And it literally is. It's a great way of building networks and relationships. And instead of just doing it on a Zoom where only one person will hear it, you put it out. And this is what I love about your podcast. It's very laid back. It's like having a conversation, and then other people will tune in afterwards. So it's an awesome way to go about it. You just gotta, with every podcast, you gotta find your niche and like what you bring to the market, because there are so many now. Because obviously another offset of the pandemic is that everybody now knows what Zooms is, and everybody's got a podcast, and because everybody was locked indoors for so long. So it's like, what can you bring to the table? What do you do? And I just love your conversation style. I love how it just feels naturally and flows nice and easily, and it's just something you can tune in, because audio, above any other form of content, audio is the only one that's non-disruptive. If you've got to read a blog post, you have to stop to read it. If you're going to watch a video, you've got to stop to watch it. But on audio, you can do it while you're doing whatever you're doing, washing the dishes, driving in the car, or whatever. And the conversations, the podcasts that have that conversational style, you can get away with having what we've been talking now for nearly 45 minutes to an hour. People will tune into that. I totally flip mine around, because mine is more the how, it's more the tactics, it's more how to do things. So I keep mine to less than 7 to 10 minutes. Because I could see in my analytics, I could see after 200 episodes, after 10 minutes, they all stopped. And I was like, oh shit, what am I doing here? Because the way that I talk and the way that I do all these things, it's literally short, sharp, quick tips. So now I have podcasts going out pretty much every day, no more than 7 minutes. Because again, it's just how people like to listen and tune into me. So yeah, nice work. I love what you're doing.
Thanks, man. We found like the 45 minutes to an hour for our style seems to be, well, if we go more than an hour, it's a super sharp drop off. I mean, truly, I'd say, most get 50, 60% through, and that's okay, but I think consistency is the name of the game, and quality guests. Not to take away from what we've built, is like, you have to like, Mateo and I have a good rapport. We're actual friends. This isn't just a business venture. Like how can we make money, or how can we talk, like, hey, I got an idea. Let's get one black guy and one white guy, and we'll put out a podcast, because that's going to drive, that's not what it's about. Like, the whole point is like, we're good friends. And like, it all started over beers in a bar at trade shows, understanding, like, we call it the carny circuit, on the vendor side of things. And it's just been fun and learn about
I think we're less conversational coffee, more drink champs, kind of, in Barstool Sports, I think, for the industry. But again, because that's who we are, right? Like at the end of the day, this really did, the genesis of this podcast came from John and I sitting at, after the Carney circuit at a bar, just talking about the industry and what we see, not what's pushed, but the reality, like, what life was on the floor. I was super new. So I always had questions, and I was fascinated by the people in this industry, right? Like that's what the people in this industry were fascinating. Especially at the time that I came in, you had such an influx of people of different backgrounds, different, both in terms of ethnicity and but even like their career choices, like in, where they came from. And so,
yeah, not many people are born into hospitality. People always fall into it from another career, a line of work. And this is the most fascinating thing to me, is why I love doing it, is because the people I get to meet and the stories that they have behind it and how they came into it. And when I say hospitality, people look at me and I go, well, I'm not in hospitality, I'm a property manager. Nah, as soon as you've got a stranger going into your door, going into a hotel, that you are in hospitality right there and then. And this is the thing that I've been sort of preaching for a while. So when I say host, I include property managers, I include everybody in that sort of in that terminology. And I feel like the people that get it, the people that get hospitality, they get it first, because as soon as you start doing that, you don't just look at a person as like a dollar sign, you look at them as a guest. And how as much as there's a story behind every host, there's a story behind every booking. And this is something that I talk about a lot at the moment. There's a story behind every booking. So how can you bring that out? And how can you make that guest experience better? Because when you get that guest experience better, you are going to build your direct bookings and you're going to absolutely smash it. I remember, Matteo, you mentioned about becoming the go-to and about relationships and collaboration. I remember you talking about it on a podcast, and it nails it to a T. Somebody asked me last night on a webinar, what's my one biggest tactic on direct bookings? I said it's relationships. It's those networks, those collaborations that you have with people in your niche and in your local area, like that coffee shop that you always go to or that place that you recommend. It's like, how can you create those partnerships? And then you just become that go-to, become the go-to. That's literally what I've been saying for years, could become the go-to. And if you do that, then you'll absolutely smash this.
It's interesting because you look at your road and someone who's literally born into hospitality, right, and been in it most of your life. Like what I've always seen in this space, and what I love about this space, and what I love about hospitality, and when you break it down to to its simplest form, it's respect and communication, right? It's respect, unearned respect, that you are engaging in relationship with someone, right? And providing an experience for someone you don't know, right? And, what does that take tactically, right? It sounds simple, but that's hard. How do you show respect to someone you don't know? How do you create an environment that is respectful of someone you don't know? And that's why I think the communication part is, because that's how it happens, right? It's how you communicate. It's the communication portion of it. It's ensuring that you're providing the service that they're looking for, right? Based on minimal amounts of information on someone. Put that into relationship context, right? And it's respect and communication.
No, massively. And you just got to attract your tribe. Like, you can't appeal to everybody, because if you're trying to appeal to everybody, you appeal to nobody. And, this is the big thing that's going to happen next, is that with so many people getting into this industry, it's those hosts, property managers that focus on a niche. So whether it is helping servicemen to get accommodation who can't find accommodation, whether it is, I love Bud Airbnb or Bud B&B, literally cannabis and like marijuana for like accommodation, or whether it is, you've got Robert Geller, he was a podcast guest of yours, Robert Geller. So helping LGBTQ plus whatever find accommodation. Like this is the niche that I'm talking about, finding your customer avatar. Those that do that, you attract your tribe. And it's somebody once said to me, your net worth is your network. And if you can build a business, build a community,
I love that,
around something, then you are going to nail it. If you go into this thinking, I just want everybody to stay at my place, then you're going to appeal to nobody. So figure out who you want, figure out your customer avatar, figure out the ideal guests, and then life is so much easier.
Tell our guests, our listeners, they're going to go ahead and get your Book Direct Playbook.
So all you need to do, go to Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's on Audible and it's on print. Wherever you are in the world, and just type in the Book Direct Playbook, Mark Simpson. If you start typing the Book Direct Playbook, it will come up, and go and grab it, please do. And it's a book that is very interactive. So anybody who has read it or is listening to it, you'll know what I mean when I say it's very interactive. There's a full online course around the book as well. So as soon as you buy the book, you get a special code, and I've got all the videos that are on there, because I talk about marketing. And with marketing, writing a marketing book, I wrote this in 2021. By the time it would have come to being released, it could have been out of date. You know, if I wrote this a couple of years ago, and if I was talking about Musical.ly, well, now it's TikTok. So instead of talking about any specific channel, I talk about the psychological aspects around everything. This is 10 years of me putting this book together. So the cool thing about having the course is that if things do change and things do amend, then I can quickly update the video. I can't update the words in the book. So this is a book that is going to be when my Alfie,
smart, man.
When my Alfie is hopefully 10 years or 20 years in the future, and he's looking to get into maybe vacation rental or hospitality, then he can pick up this book and he can go, my old man know what he's talking about. So this is why I did it. This is why I created it. And, you know, I've got Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss is my major influence from this when writing this book. It was a huge book impression on me, and I wrote it pretty much like to have that sort of guidance behind it. So I hope you enjoy it.
You stand out. I mean, it's a resource that you're buying. How many times can you buy something? What can you buy right now that you will continually value and use? Right? You think about all the shit.
Timeless product.
Regular but it's a resource that continues to keep its value. So in hell, if you didn't take that nugget out of this and create something like that for your business, right? That is going to do the same thing. You missed the point of the podcast. But before we go, let's talk about the future. What's next? What can you tell us? What are you doing? Where are you going?
So my goal is to just be everywhere. Just literally be everywhere. Keep continuing the message. I'm gonna win a Shorties Award when that comes out.
Oh shit! Don't even say.
Don't get us started.
Don't say.
So I win it. Actually, let me grab this. This is my first ever award. Was the Shorties? You have to watch this on the YouTube. Obviously, this is Shorties 2020. I won Best Use of Social Media. And I'm coming back 2022. I want another one, and I've got like a shelf now. I got to fill up my office, so I want to do that.
There you go.
I want to do that. I just want to continue being everywhere. I want to be so good that people can't ignore me, and I'm just going to continue going down that Steve Martin quote that I read years and years ago, and just keep being everywhere and keep helping, keep providing support. Our website business is going to grow and grow and grow because we want to have all the hosts. I want them to have a website that works. We partner up with Guesty. We partner with everybody. You know, we'll figure out how we can partner up with Hopper Homes and Ateez at some point as well. We'll just keep on being awesome and keep on having amazing conversations like this.
Sounds like a good plan. So everyone, you're listening, you're going to go to the website. They'll have all the links that Mark has talked about in the podcast will be on the website. Additionally, if you haven't gone to where you're listening to the podcast, whether it be, you know, Apple Podcasts or Spotify or however you're listening to it, please go listen, give us a like, give us a review. We don't need the help, but we'd really greatly appreciate the help. So go ahead and hook us up, and we're going to continue with great conversations. Mark, it's been awesome having you on. Thanks so much, man.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.